Good evening, everyone. This is Controlled Chaos speaking. I hope you are having a good Monday. If not, I hope to help with that. So, I believe it's about time to be wrapping up stories, Tales of Destinies, Paths of Destinies. I thought I had that before, but in any case, this time, I'm going to be knocking out as many of these as possible. And I think I'll start with what'll happen if I made different choices during the hero path. So, yeah, this will be our final venture into the story as we dive right on in.
Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky River was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Isengrim III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes, that was it.
Alright, so last time I sent Filipino to fetch the core. Let's see what happens if we go ahead and announce our intentions.
Me? A traitor? I'm hurt, said Lupino. Why ever would you say that? We found your code book, said Renato. They hadn't, but he hoped Lupino would blow his cover. You got me, said Lupino. And you know what? I don't regret a thing. It's always about you, isn't it? You're the pretty hero. You get the girl, you get the medal, and what do I get? Rabbit food. I thought you liked rabbit food. Go to hell, said Lupino, and he made a gesture. And 20 ravens came out of nowhere and stabbed Renato to death.
Huh.
He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Okay then.
How had they come? Oh, it was all going according to plan, thought Renato. Now he just needed Zenobia on his side. Yes, that was even better. The Iblis Stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought. Even Lupino. Even though Lupino was already a traitor. It would turn him against his secret master, the Emperor. He would try to make himself Emperor. And the Emperor would have to defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius. And so, Renato set about getting himself captured by Zenobia to turn her against her father. Once she knew the truth about her father's plans for her, he sent her to fetch the Iblis Stone. Unfortunately, once she had it, the Iblis Stone took hold of her. In a rage, she decided to assassinate her father and become Empress. Renato pursued her to the final battle to stop her becoming evil. Zenobia slew the Emperor. Lupino shot Zenobia. Renato killed Lupino. Bittersweet victory was at hand, but then the core exploded, destroying both the Imperial and Rebel fleets. Death, Dark Ages, the usual thing.
Well,
he had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
huh.
Right. Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him instead of going back to her father, who was going to blow himself up. It did sound a little risky. But Renato had a feeling it would work out somehow. It all... So, Renato explained his brilliant gambit. Sending Lupino to get the Iblis Stone, become super powerful and corrupted, provoke the Emperor into using the core against him, thus blowing up both of them, and hopefully the fleet too. Let me visit your council, she said, shaken. I want to help. Could he really trust her?
I wonder what this will do. Let's find out.
She said she had an errand to run, so they met up sometime later in the mountains. She seemed different. It seems she'd gone and knocked Lapino out with drowsy gas and taken the Iblis stone from him. Whoa, what? No, that wasn't a plan. I know. Your plan was terrible. Now where's the council? Couldn't we just go somewhere? Quiet, Talk this over? You lying son of a bitch. They are not here. Her sword was bloody. I told you the truth. Well, mostly. I'm going to kill my father now. But first, I'm going to kill you.
Boy.
And that is exactly what she did. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Right. So that's
He couldn't
what'll
tell
happen.
her. Not yet.
So that's what'll happen. Alright.
Everyone in the council chamber was dead. Zenobia stood shivering in the courtyard, drenched in blood. Why? He managed. They started arguing with me. I lost my temper and I wanted their blood. Well, not me. The stone did. Why did you take it from Lapino? I had a plan. You had a stupid plan, she said. I'm going to go kill my father now. No, you can't. You'll just take his place. You'll become worse than him. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too.
Alright. So let's see what happens here.
Renardo watched her board her ship and sail off. A few days later, the sun dimmed. A great void opened in the sky, black as the Iblis stone itself. It stretched and ripped like a vast fatal womb, and a gaze black and pitiless as the sun passed through the void into the land. And so the lost god Iblis once again came into his own, and time stopped. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it, and let the Farfarer shoot forward in the breeze. Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. This time, he would win.
Right. Now then. Let's see if I can't get some of the Zenobia paths before the next hour is up.
The clouds parted. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
For some inexplicable reason, Reynardo chose Zenobia.
Reynardo asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no idea. Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. Usually, they worked out. After all, he was a hero. The truth is, though, he wanted to see her, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because, know your enemy. All
really?
right, maybe he should stop pretending.
Yeah.
He knew exactly how she felt about him. But their love affair always ended with a tragic death. Unless, maybe he could find a way to dodge tragedy. Surely he could, couldn't he?
True, but not this. You'll get burned by a
Reynardo
goggler.
wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. she'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? Maybe because the results tended to be disastrous. These streets were familiar. The Swordfu School was closed now, but he had been down that street 1,000 times. He knew that pub. He knew that alley. He knew the alley behind it much too well. No wonder Zenobia had chosen to invade this island herself.
Alright.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished. And he suddenly noticed he couldn't move except his mouth. In fact, soon he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told Zenobia everything. Skyripper, the Iblastone, even where the secret rebel base was, until he was hoarse. It was some kind of truth spell.
Wow.
Talky truth spell. She called her father by Farspeaker Toad and filled His Majesty in. But why didn't he get the core? Croaked the Farspeaker in something like His Majesty's croak. Because I missed you, darling. Renato grinned. He doesn't even know why, frowned Zenobia. That makes no sense. It's a trap, shouted the Emperor. I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators. If Renato came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father.
Let's try this.
What are you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned. Furious. You're lying. Under a truth spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will.
See. I wonder if she'll ever reach the observatory with the witness still in one piece.
What kind of proof could you possibly have? She said as they landed on the Nexus. Your father ritually sacrificed a village, and he left witnesses? The scientist resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded grimly. You go on ahead. I don't want the Ravens to see me. This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board. She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father wanted to invoke the Lost Gods? Would he tell you? No. Would you help him? No. I'd burn his books. Why'd he adopt a stray cat? You don't ask a thing like that. No. Not when there's no good answer, she said, her whiskers twitching.
In one of the letters we found, we do know that that was not the original intention.
The Emperor had learned enough secrets from Renato to crush the rebellion. It would be a fair trade if the scientist could convince Zenobia to change sides.
Why can't one of these times Zenobia come here and the place isn't razed to the ground?
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing.
Yes. Let's meet at the mountain.
Why was he going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the Rebel Council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's say, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself. It was a bit windy up here.
No doubt.
There were a lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree.
I had a
What
feeling
had
she might
Zenobia
have.
gone to get?
Oh no.
He had a chilling feeling it was the Iblis stone. Zenobia was level-headed. A stone to make anyone bloodthirsty. You could tell her style from the blade work on the dead bird. Open, says me.
Heh.
Renato wondered what he should do when he found Zenobia. What could he do if she had the Iblis stone?
Uh-oh. Hello.
He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing. I'm gonna kill him, she said. I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all their eggs and tadpoles.
No.
Then I'm gonna burn down their pond. Did you go and get the Iblis stone? Do you see all these ravens I killed?
No.
Yeah. Great, Renato said. You really want power from a demonic rock? You want the stone, don't you? Not really. Good. I'd rather not have to kill you. He told her he loved her. That he wouldn't let the Iblis stone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now, didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off.
Bad idea.
He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance.
Yeah.
Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? But he had to. The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He'd betrayed the location of their base, and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblis Stone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress.
Definitely.
She had to be stopped.
Yeah.
There were more dead ravens along his path. Some of them wounded in the back. He knew she could have easily talked her way past them, or clouded the little tiny raven brains with a spell. She was going out of her way to kill everything in her path.
Yeah.
This wasn't Zenobia. Not as he knew her. So, his beloved was possessed by the spirit of a demon. That's what it meant to be a hero. To brave the darkness in your loved one's soul. To have faith there was still good in her. To help her out of that darkness, no matter what the cost. But what? What could he do? She'd kill him if he tried to take the Iblis Stone from her.
Haha. Alright. Let's see how this story ends.
At the end of the trail of raven corpses was Zenobia. Her father was frantically rigging a strange apparatus wrapped around a glowing core.
Oh no.
Don't do it!
Don't do it!
He shouted. You'll hate yourself in the morning. Stay back! She screamed in a horrible voice he'd never heard before. It froze him in his tracks. The Emperor stared at him. Run, he told the toad, or hop! But he didn't manage to voice it, only think it. Zenobia stabbed her blade forward, and His Majesty fell dead.
Oh boy.
She began laughing hysterically. Or was she weeping? Just walk away, she laughed at him. I've no more use for you. There was something he needed to do, but he couldn't figure out what it was. So he did as he was told. As he walked away, he felt a chill in the world. The light in the sky seemed to dim. He didn't dare turn. He had a nagging feeling there was something he should have done just then. Something heroic. But he could not have taken the Iblis Stone from her by force. And she would not have parted with it willingly. A cold wind blew from where she had been. But he still didn't dare turn. And then, an awful laughter filled the air. And all the torches and all the ships went out. And he realized what he should have done. But by then, it was too late to do anything.
I believe that's another... Nope. Look at that. Well, I believe there's enough time for one more story.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Well now, let's give this a shot.
The gem could give great power, but it was evil. But Reynardo had a plan. He would divide the stone into the power half and the evil half. He sought out the sage Calaveras.
Oh, you need a mirror of splitting.
Croaked Calaveras.
Ho-ho!
I can make one.
Calaveras set up various shiny things. And soon Reynardo was setting the stone down in the middle of Calaveras' lab. There was a flash, and now Reynardo was looking at himself.
Oh no.
Except with a mustache, and a goatee and darker hair. There were two Iblis stones. One light, and one dark. Reynardo took the light one. He felt a rush of great power. Now I could defeat the Emperor. Wait a minute. Unfortunately, he couldn't think of any way to use it without hurting someone. That wouldn't be nice.
Uh-oh.
Give me that, said his evil-looking twin. And he drew his sword. He only got it halfway out of the scabbard when he fainted from the effort. Obviously, neither weak, evil Reynardo nor powerful, nice Reynardo was any threat to the Empire.
Darn.
After the Emperor's victory, they were exhibited in a museum until time ended, which was soon after. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Okay then. So it's not just a hero's story that has dead ends.
Reflections. Mine, said Reynardo as he took back the stone.
We need it for science,
Croaked the toads. So he killed them.
Oh,
He felt
no.
better immediately. Smarter, too. I thought it would never come for me, whispered the stone. Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Reynardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. Will kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar.
Yep.
But Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down.
Let's have a look at this.
Whispered the stone. It was right. Wasn't Zenobia the Emperor's greatest general? Wasn't Reynardo fighting for the rebellion? Of course you wouldn't want him to have it. Wouldn't you make a better Emperor than Lysander the Third? Added the stone. You know what? I would, thought Reynardo. Or maybe he said it out loud. He would go see the council and lead their armies to victory. All he had to do was call them on the far speaker. Ah, damn. Well, wouldn't they be surprised anyway? Ah, the ruins. Reynardo had come there as a kid when it was still the fabulous city of Ubar. Before the Emperor's ravens had come to pillage ancient books from its library and destroyed it. Now the rebel council lay hidden underneath the ruins. And between here and there, all these ravens to kill. They deserved it for what they'd done to the city. And the faster he could kill them, the more of a rush they gave him. Funny about librarians. People thought of them as fussy clerks who shushed them for talking. But the librarians thought of their books as sacred, and themselves as priests in a temple of knowledge. Who knew they were willing to die to protect it? He tried to be nice to Zenobia, not killing her and all. And what did she do? She stole the gem from him and made him kill all those scientists. Next time she'd see. whispered the stone. Ravens? Renato knew how the stone felt. Each raven he killed gave him a little jolt of pleasure. But he could only kill them so fast, and the pleasure wore off too quickly. Hopefully soon he would face a more powerful adversary. Yes, whispered the stone. The more power enemies, the more power I give you. I will make you emperor. But not with a bunch of mangy ravens.
Now.
As he reached the secret entrance, he was shocked to see Zenobia talking with the council. She bore a white flag. The council has betrayed you, whispered the stone.
No.
What are you doing here, love? Renato demanded. Come for the brown muffins? She's worried about you, croaked the council speaker. We all are. You're not yourself, Zenobia said. Before they could get into the rest of the intervention, he leapt at her. Unfortunately, the council speaker blocked him, so he slew her and the other council members. I'm not giving up, cried Zenobia as she darted off into the ruins. I think I just killed the entire rebel council, said Renato. See how much power they've given you. But they were on my side, weren't they? No one is on your side, except for me. He set sail for the fleet. There, at least, there would be enemies to kill. Unless that was the Iblastone talking. He could never be sure.
Oh boy.
Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed.
What?
Somewhere down the path would be the Emperor. Renato would slay him, most powerful man in Erda. And the Iblastone would give Renato all that power. And he would be Emperor. And then he would set everyone free. I hear you're the dead, silent type.
Here we go. The final well, is it? Yeah. The final confrontation. Go. Yep. Let's see how this story ends. Before closing the book on this game.
He was face to face with Zenobia. She was still unarmed. No fire crackled from her claws. Excellent. Kill her,
Fight
whispered the stone. He raised his sword for the killing blow.
Fight it.
Is this what you really want? She asked. Or is it what the stone wants? Think of the power, insisted the stone. I don't want to kill you, he told Zenobia, his arm still raised. I know. But he could not put the sword down. It wants blood, he told her. I know. Oh, help me, he said.
Please.
She stabbed herself. Take my blood, she said. No, you mustn't, cried the Iblastone. Oh no! Why did you... He ran to embrace her, and she plunged her bloody dagger into his heart. Why? He said. We'll be together in the halls of the Valiant.
This is a
she said.
Romeo-Juliet ending.
I love you, he said. Thank you.
Wow.
And the Iblastone screamed, and then it began to glow. It burst into flames. It burned like an ember. And then it was ash that blew away in the wind.
Interesting.
And Zenobia and Renato died in each other's arms.
Yeah. Right. Well, I guess that will conclude it. Bit of a review before closing the book on this. It's very enjoyable if you want to kill some time. And although after a certain point you start getting to the swing of things, and as you can probably tell, it just becomes a point where you just want to see how it all ends. You know, if you're curious enough, that'll be what holds you. Anyways, if you liked what you've seen, be sure to tune in next week, same time. Also be sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll be posting announcements and polls there. And with all of that said, this has been the end of Monday. Hope you all have a good night.